Why do bucks shed antlers? That's the question we're going to answer today. Just because this property is a great bedding property doesn't mean you can't draw them in with a food plot of your own. How do antlers start growing? They start growing in spring, triggered by photoperiod. That's increasing day length, triggers the pineal gland in the brain to secrete hormones. These hormones start the growing process, and as we know, when spring turns to summer, turns to fall, the antlers branch out nicely, they grow all the points and stickers and drop tines that we love, and then as day length starts decreasing, photoperiod triggers this cycle to stop. What happens when it stops is the process shuts down, blood flow stops to the antlers calcify, they harden, and that's what we get, the polished finished product. Now there is some speculation within the research community as to the reasons why cervids will drop their antlers and grow them again. It's a big long process, it's the fastest growing living organism known to man, antler is. But what we do know is that bucks have to conserve their energy when they get to winter, and that's why it is thought that antlers drop. So why do they shed their antlers? Well, let's look at it. What happens? What happens when that photoperiod gets to a certain point and that living connection is completely gone? You know, the antlers are hardened, but there's still a living connection between that antler and the pedicle, that's the base. When that is completely shut off, the body reabsorbs that calcium, that little layer that it's holding it together, and then the antlers pop off. When the antlers come off, you see those bloody stumps. It looks painful, it's not. What happens within a day or two, those pedicles become crusted over, scabbed over, so to speak, and within a week, you're not even gonna know that the antler was there. And that's why, especially in some of these city hunts and really late antlerless seasons where they're trying to take out excess deer from the herd, you have to be really careful because you can mistake a buck for a doe at this time of year very easily. Another big question is, when do bucks shed their antlers? Is there a certain formula as to when a buck is going to shed his antlers? Well, it's kind of complicated. In the wild, there's so many different variables. There's weather, there's stress, there's nutrition. Those all can play a factor into when a buck is going to shed his antlers. But what we know through research is if a buck is given the best of everything in a captive situation, the best food, the best cover, you know, he's not freezing to death out there, he will drop his antlers within about a day or two almost every single year. So it's programmed within that individual animal. The same thing happens in the wild. Now a lot of people think, oh my goodness, it's below zero today, or it's going to be 30 below this weekend. Those bucks are going to be so stressed they're going to drop their antlers. It doesn't work like that. Wild animals are really resilient, and it takes an enormous amount of stress to alter that individual genetics. So on a mature buck in the wild, unless there's something really bizarre going on, he's going to drop his antlers probably within the same week, year after year after year.
Deer and Deer Hunting Properties is brought to you by Orion Hunting Products, America's #1 modular deer hunting blind. Deer and Deer Hunting Properties is brought to you by Spy Point Trail Cameras.
How can you find more shed antlers this winter? Today we're going to talk about the specifics on where you can find them. For me, shed hunting is the scout part. When we say scout manage hunt, that is the biggest key for me, is in spring and even late winter looking for sheds. They're really, let's face it, there's not an exact science to finding sheds, and there's not an exact science to where bucks shed their antlers. Finding out how bucks live on the landscape and at the different times of the year when they're in certain areas is what you need to know to find more sheds. Think about it this way: the more you know about where bucks feed, where they bed, and where they're going about their business in, let's just say, January, February, and March, even into April. If you know that, now you have a leg up on where you might find sheds. But the guys that find sheds over and over and over again normally are really good woodsmen and women in the fact that they know where deer bed, where they prefer to bed, and where they prefer to travel in winter. That's key. Not where they prefer to travel in June, July, August, September, and October. You know, those prime rutting areas of October and November, or those prime feeding areas in September. Chances are you don't find the sheds there because those food sources have shifted to winter food sources. Winter food sources can be great. Cornfields, soybean stubble, you know, all those places are good. Lee side of hills where the sun's shining down, where deer might bed, those are great. But the way I look at it, two good things that you could do to find sheds: if you aren't already doing it, become a turkey hunter. And if you aren't already doing it, become a trapper. If you're a turkey hunter and you're chasing a gobbler in April or even May, that gobbler normally, if you're running and gunning and he's gobbling and you're going after him, he's going to take you through the best of the habitat. And that's normally where those deer are in wintertime because they need that overwinter habitat to survive. Trapping, same thing. You're going through swamps, some of the thick stuff where the critters love to live. Well, those big bucks like to live there too, and chances are they might be their bedding areas in the winter. You're killing two birds with one stone. You're learning more about the habitat. You're learning more about how the deer use it. And oh, by the way, there's a shed. Let's go get it.
If you're in the market for a trail camera that shoots awesome video, this is one that you need to check out. This Force Pro S 2.0 camera has a 110-foot range detection system. It shoots video in 4K or 1080p, and you also can switch up your intervals up to 10 to 2-minute long videos. If you're not a video person, this camera is still a great option for you. It's got a 48 megapixel camera, so just those pictures can be crystal clear for you. So this camera is actually in a great spot for any different types of animals. I know this spring we had some turkeys come down and pick through the clover fruit that's already here. We should be able to get some videos of some fawns that come through right off this meadow and feed into the clover plot. And then hopefully we get some big bucks coming out of velvet during their velvet stage. If not, I know we'll have some hardhorn pitchers coming here late fall. At this spot, I don't really have any trees. I'm in a field, so I'm going to put it on a fence row. I have a maintained trail system behind me to the left that comes out of the bedding. The food plot that I'm going to be putting in, it is going to be a bean field this fall, so I haven't set it up yet. However, I know I'm going to start working on this in the next week or so. So I'm kind of just getting the cameras in place, ready before I go out and start doing everything to the food plot. I already know there's a couple deer that are coming through here at night. Just kind of want to see what they are before I start working on the food plot.
I've hunted in Wyoming the past 10 years, many times. And although I've shot bucks that have parts of velvet on their antlers, I've never shot one full velvet. One thing I do know in talking to guys is they say take extra care when handling velvet antlers. Velvet antlers carry a lot of bacteria and you can get really sick from handling it. I've known guys that have landed in the hospital with high fevers for several days because of it. So I'm going to take extra precautions because I am a precautionary person. I got rubber gloves. I'm gonna try not to handle the velvet as much as possible, but I'm gonna try to strip it off and let's see how it goes. Another tip I've been given over the years by guys that say if you have one that's close to peeling, take that rack and submerge it in water overnight. That's gonna help get the velvet off. That's what they tell me. I happen to have a cow tank here. I filled it halfway full of water last night, stuck the antlers in there about 14 hours ago, and we're gonna give it a shot. Okay, when I came back on the plane last night, yesterday afternoon, I had packed this in my crossbow case, and it got so hot. It was 92 degrees yesterday, and when I got the luggage from the airport, it was super hot in there, and it actually was starting to come off a little bit. You can see this is really cool. Look at that, it's completely white antler. And the velvet itself, it almost looks like a deer hide. It's skin. It's just like a hide. It's skin with hair. Well, the first thing I'm going to try here is I'm going to just try to pull it off and see how that works. Oh, look at that. It's coming. Look at this. It's coming right off. It's like taking a sock off. This is really amazing. I've never seen this before. Look at this. I've never. It definitely smells. They eat that. A lot of trace nutrients in there for a deer. It smells gross, but that's real life. I mean, you can see the blood coming right off as that antler hardened. That's one side. Now look how white that is. That's what the antler looks like. Real antler is bone white. And how bucks get them dark, it's from what they're rubbing on. The trees, you know, the sap in the trees. That's what gives the antler its color. But right when that velvet comes off, you can see it right there, it's pure white. It hangs down in their face like that, drives them nuts. Bees and flies get in that. It's gotta be a miserable, well, we've actually seen it. It's a miserable experience for a deer, and it's very stressful. It can take them several hours to get it off, but they try to get it off as soon as possible. Just gotta spray that off and he's ready to mount. Getting velvet off a rack is not that hard.
Deer and Deer Hunting editor Dan Schmidt is in Wyoming on an early season archery hunt. With the number of animals early season in the cowboy state, Dan is pretty sure of a great deer, but he's looking for something extra, a perfect shot with a different scenario.
And hunting with my friends Ralph and Lenore Dampman, Trophy Ridge Outfitters. They're near Carlisle, Wyoming. You know, this is one of the most special bow hunts in America, in my opinion. I've hunted all over the place, and there's something about early season Northeast Wyoming. We get there, just great camaraderie in camp, just very relaxed. I've hunted there for over a decade now, and for me, I'm not super picky. If I see a nice buck, I'm not gonna hold off. I always said, if I see a nice buck on the first day that I would kill on the last day, I'm totally gonna take that shot, because that's, for me, it's about the experience and the excitement and everything that goes with that. So the first morning we get in there and we're in a blind that's in a field that's not too far from the road. And the really neat thing about deer behavior here in Northeast Wyoming is these deer are not pressured. So they don't really care if there's traffic around. That's why I always say, you know, don't get too concerned if there's traffic and noise, because if deer are used to it, they're gonna go about their way. And that's what happened that first morning. It starts getting light out, we start seeing deer immediately. There's some hay bales out in this blind. It had just been hayed. The farmer had not got the bales out of there yet. And here comes not only one buck, but several bucks. Really nice 8-pointer. And I'm like, my goodness, he's already polished. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be picky. I'm gonna take him if he comes in. He's coming right at us. So this buck's coming in. I'm getting pretty excited. The heart starts hammering. I really didn't have any second guesses if I was gonna shoot him, because he was a really nice buck. But the thing about it is deer don't always play by the script. He played by the script in the fact that he came in and he came within bow range of the blind. But okay, we have a TV camera in the blind. It's not perfect situation. You got small little windows. It would have been impossible to get those cameras out the windows that weren't open. So he walked. Really neat experience. We're gonna go back to camp for some lunch and see what happens in the afternoon.
Deer and Deer Hunting Properties is brought to you by PH Outdoors.
Waiting to take the best shot on a deer can mean many things. Patience, practice, and maybe even a little luck. But you also need the deer.
And hunting with my friends, Ralph and Lenore Dampman, Trophy Ridge Outfitters. They're near Carlisle, Wyoming. They've brought hunters into their home, and they've just showed them, you know, great hospitality, great food, and great hunting. But it's a whole family event here. Eric Dunn is Ralph's son-in-law, and Eric is a top-notch guide, and he helps out with some of the guiding operation. And Eric was going to take us out in the afternoon to a spot I know very well. I've shot several deer out of that area. It's a big alfalfa field overlooking like a little creek drainage. And what's really neat about it is a spot where you can just basically sit back. Now on this hunt in the afternoon, perfect weather, sun shining, we can sit back in this blind and just watch the day unfold. And my goodness, what a day it was. We had does and fawns come out. We saw some other bucks come out in the field, and they were just all over the place. Nothing super close and nothing really that big, but we got to see a lot of wildlife, which was really cool. And we got to just watch God's creation unfolding in front of us. It starts to get a little bit shadowy, sun's setting over the horizon, and we're thinking, well, this might happen or this might not happen. Now, okay, here I have to preface this. When you're in an enclosed blind and you're trying to film, it makes it really hard to depict what you actually see. So some of the footage you're gonna see here is a little bit dark because we're in an enclosed blind. We don't want to open the windows to have deer see us. And I said, I think that doe's been looking back. I know she's been looking back, but I think there's more deer coming. Guess what? Just like that. I always say it happens just like that. I look, buck. I really kind of wanted one that was still velvet. And here comes a beautiful 8-pointer, still in velvet. And he's kind of got that little trot going. And I said, well, I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded with my 10-point. I bleat, he stops, he looks. Pin is right there behind his shoulder. He basically takes a couple bounds and disappears to where he came from. No problem, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna wait. And in this case, when I'm hunting with somebody else, especially an outfitter, I'm not gonna sit there and try to know more than they do, because I don't. If you're hunting on somebody else's turf, you have to trust their call. And in Eric's case, he said, if you shoot something, just wait for me. So we're gonna wait. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna wait about an hour. I think he's dead,
Okay.
but we didn't look. So now it's dark. We go and look for blood, and I tell you what, it wasn't a picture perfect ending. We did not find blood right away, and I'm kind of stumped. You know, I send a sever right through that deer, and I'm not sure where he went. I know he went in the corner of this woods, but we get over to the corner of the woods, and we look down, and it is a straight drop off to this creek. I mean, it's like 20 feet down. And I'm like, well, he didn't fall down there because he'd be dead. I mean, it was just straight off a rock cliff. Okay, we're gonna stop and compose ourselves. Eric gets up with us and he said, well, there's one little trail that kind of just basically comes along the side of this cliff. We're gonna check that. Good call. We went down that trail just a little bit, 20 yards, boom, blood.
Blood.
Once we're on the trail, okay, now we've got something to work with. Yep, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Eric flashes his light, laying down in the creek, my buck. Oh, yes! Good job! Good job, Eric. Yes! Well, that is a fitting end to a great day of hunting here in Wyoming. My favorite place on earth to bow hunt whitetails, Ralph Dampman's. It's Trophy Ridge Outfitters. It's near Carlisle, Wyoming. You see so many deer, and you get to watch them, and you get to see so many bucks, and you get to see bucks in velvet. This is my first velvet buck. I am so happy. Always a reason to celebrate when you got a deer on the ground, But when we got him out of that creek and I realized he still had velvet on those antlers, it was even more reason to celebrate. The key takeaway on this hunt, a beautiful afternoon. Sever did its job again, a very short blood trail. And most of all, sharing that with friends, and what I'm gonna say family, because when you can do that on an early season bow hunt, make the shot, short blood trail, that's what deer hunting is all about.